now. How many of you here came solely based on the session title here? Raise your hands high. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Some of you, I know, more than you want to be, I'm sure, right? Well, so you got to know, and how many of you here actually got the flyer? You know, that blue flyer, right? So as you may have noticed, that flyer doesn't mention that session title. And the reason for that is I changed the session title just about 2 days ago. Shot an email to the conference managers, and I told them, can you update the session title, please? She said, yeah, sure. And eventually I got that one. And you might wonder, why the heck did the guy change the session title 2 days before the conference, right? That doesn't make sense. And have to confine, have to confess something to you guys. As you may have noticed already, I'm not a really good public speaker. So over the weekend, I thought, what can I do? This is really my first big public speaking gig. I need to try to be good, right? So I thought, hey, why not read the book about public speaking? This is what kids do, right? When we don't know what to do, we just read books. We think we're going to get better, right? So I thought, let's read that book. I found it on LinkedIn, on Amazon, and that's the book that was written by a guy called Brown, and he's got a slide share full of slide decks, actually 300 slide decks already. At a rate of 1 per week. That's how prolific the guy is. And he also wrote 6 books. Anyways, started reading this book, and guess what? This book is a collection of 60 tips, 60 habits really, to become a pro public speaker. But as far as I'm concerned, I stopped reading the book at habit number 2. That's right, habit number 2. That's how good I am when I read a book. But, that's because that habit really got me thinking a lot. And the name of that habit is make the title work for you. You might be wondering what's habit number 1, right? So habit number 1, for those who want to know, is remember you're here to entertain, not educate. Right? And so the guy actually writes, seriously, he writes, what does he write? Okay, I don't remember. He writes, if you want to be a great presenter, study these artists. Seinfeld, Chris Rock, and Louis C.K. Not well-known business names. What do you think of that? Think that's good? It's good advice? That's a good advice, right? But, got me thinking a little bit as well. I mean, how can I be as funny as Louis C.K., especially when speaking about SharePoint, right? I actually had kind of a trick with Louis C.K. speaking to his daughter about SharePoint, but I thought, hey, you know what? It's just going to fall flat. So, let's just not do it. And skip back to habit number 2. And Graham gives, pretty good advice. It works well for us geeks, right? He says, typically, if you want to do a session about Android apps, maybe, you call it cross compatibility in Android apps. I mean, only if you're Google Find, right? Not that we're Google Finds here. But let's imagine we're Google Find. But hey, who would want to go to a session title like that, right? It's pretty boring. So what he says, instead, you should name your session How I Taught My Dog to Program Android 4.2. It's a bit more catchy, right? So it really got me thinking, because quite frankly, SharePoint and public social networks raise the bar of collaboration. That's really the equivalent of cross-compatibility in Android apps, right? So you gotta know something first, which is that at really our vision ultimately is that SharePoint can be used by anyone, everyone, even everything, even your fridge, even your driverless car. Imagine that all your family is using SharePoint to manage their schedules. Imagine your fridge ordering groceries and instructing your driverless car to go pick it up, all without even knowing you're using SharePoint. So that's kind of our dream, that's kind of our vision. But hey, we're not Microsoft, so we gotta be modest, right? And so we gotta be a bit ambitious. So I thought, hey, why not start with Miss California, right? So at this point, I'm sure you're dying to know, what the heck has Miss California to do with SharePoint, right? But I want to keep you in the room. So, I'll tell you the whole story at the end of the presentation, right? So let's actually switch now to real slide decks, because right now that was just the intro. All right. So first of all, was it. That was the presentation. Goodbye. So, hopefully we're going to get back in our feet here. That was a good start, right? Isn't it? No? Yeah, I told you I'm not a good speaker. But I did my best. Anyways, who among you here, let's start with a show of hands. Okay, let's start with a show of hands. Who among you uses one or many of those tools here? Don't be shy. All right, almost everyone. Do I come anyone that does not use one of those tools? You know what? You lost an opportunity to win a $5 Starbucks card. Because I had one for one of you, but hey, I know it's hard to not kill the social pressure, right? So we all own one of those tools at least. Now, who among you uses one or many of those business tools here? Obviously. Everyone? I hope everyone. Because if you're not using SharePoint, I don't know what you guys are doing here. Right? Anyways, now that that's the first question, it's a little bit trickier. Who knows who's these two-faced do use? Anyone? Oh, we got some winners over here. Got some winners. You just want that gift. Come here. Yes, come here, don't be shy. Tell us who that is.
Janice.
Well, we got a winner. We don't know if we got a winner.
Well, it's Janice.
We got a contestant.
Maybe
we got a contestant for a Starbucks card, another one. A $10 Starbucks card. That's your challenge. Tell me who that is.
Well, it's Janice in mythology.
Really good. Wow, we got a smart attendee here. Congratulations. What's your name? Jackie. All right, Jackie, you won a $10 Starbucks card to use with your significant other.
Okay.
And you can grab a cup of Joe.
Okay.
It's not a problem, you know. You don't have to. Oh, she works for the city of Austin. You're not allowed to get a Starbucks card. That's really too much. Who wants it? All right. Who actually knew that was done? If you knew. Did you? Maybe? Right? Okay, you got it. You know how kind I am? You're welcome. Anyway, so that's Janus indeed. You know, Janus is an ancient Roman god. He's actually the god of the beginnings and the endings. And if you're wondering where the month of January takes his name from, actually takes it from him. Because god of beginnings, and January is the first month of the year, right? And so he's got two faces because one of them, the beard, I guess, the bear. That's the bear. Always get, confused by those words. The bear, the bird, the deer. Anyways, one of those faces watches the past, and the other one watches the future. Hence the two faces. But over the years, Janus has also been used for many other analogies, typically opposites, would enable man and woman, right? But from my perspective, I thought that was a really good analogy for how we actually behave in our daily lives, right? And by that I mean that we have really two distinct personas, two different roles that we play in that big chair that is life, right? We have our business persona that we take on at work, and we have our personal persona, if you will, that we show to our friends, our family, and people we hang out. And obviously those two personas, they also express themselves in our digital life, right? And so for the business, we have all those tools where we have our business identity, which typically is SharePoint, Yammer, and LinkedIn, and on the personal side, we use mostly social networks. However, what I see happening personally, I don't know about you guys, but what I see happening is that the lines are getting blurred. More and more often, you see, for instance, people on Facebook, they don't just share stuff about their personal lives or the movies they went to, they also share stuff about business, and try to promote their businesses, and talk about more serious stuff. So, and you see that happening on Twitter as well. You see people mentioning their opinions about the latest clip they went to see, as well as their some business opinions, or once again trying to promote their business. You see that on LinkedIn as well, which is more and more becoming a publishing platform. So instead of just your business resume, people start being authors, and they talk. Obviously they talk a little bit more about their personal lives. So they start sharing things that they didn't used to share on those networks. And clearly, those public social networks, they're the drivers of that convergence of our two personas. However, as you can see here, pretty much all of the business tools, SharePoint, Salesforce, Yammer, they're a bit left out. They haven't really caught on is a convergence of our online identities, our online personas. And clearly, social networks, and most likely public social networks, they're the drivers of that convergence. But collaboration tools, they're really lagging behind. They haven't really caught on. They're still pretty much working as silos. And it's really hard to really, have a bridge between enterprise collaboration tools and everything else that we use out there, and not just for our personal lives, also for business. People who actually find leads and business contacts on LinkedIn, even on Facebook, that's how things work these days. I mean, that sounds maybe not very natural, but that's how it works. But then you might be thinking, all right, that's all good and fine, but why would I need to have collaboration tools in public social networks? So let me go through a few scenarios. Some of them are real and some of them are fictitious. This one really it's a real one. It's a translation company that specializes in French to English translations. Don't ask me why, obviously I'm French, so that's how I got to know them. And they're in Silicon Valley. They work with global clients. A lot of them are in developing countries. And guess what? The most common tools that all of those countries and all those people use is Facebook. So, instead of trying to bring their clients to specialized tools that they're probably not very familiar with, they thought, you know what? We're just going to create Facebook groups for each of our clients, and that's how we're going to collaborate with them. Collaborate. Let's say really communicate. That's all they can do on Facebook, right? So they have those Facebook groups, but obviously when you do translational work, you have to exchange documents, right? So how do you do that? Well, obviously they can't do that. So they probably, revert back to old, plain old email, and if they need to do project management, they're stuck too. They have to maybe choose another tool. They don't really have the full experience available to them, and that kind of hinders their effectiveness. Now let's go to a second scenario. This one is a little bit fictitious. I still haven't found that thing in real life. So let's imagine John. John is a marketing manager at VBag, and VBag is a bag manufacturer in Colorado, for instance. And they have a network of retailers, distributors across the country. And really, those guys, in the shop, they know what the customers want. They know what's the trend, right? And obviously in HQ, you don't really know what's going on. I mean, obviously you do studies and everything, but you're not in tune with the customers. So John, to nurture his network of distributors, set up a Yammer external network so that he can push some information, brochures, promotions, all of that. And we kind of nurture that community that way. Now the problem is, if he works on a marketing brochure and he wants to get feedback and from the distributor and maybe input from the distributor how to make the brochure really work for their customers, not for him, but for the customer. Because at the end of the day, what he wants is sell more bags, right? He can't really do that. He really cannot do that with Yammer, and especially with the Yammer external network. So he doesn't really get a lot of distributor feedback. He doesn't really have user engagement with the distributors. It's really more push information. He's pushing information. He doesn't really get anything in return because the conversation is very lightweight. There's no structure around the conversation. And it's really one-way communication. Now let's talk about a third scenario. For instance, you're a large company and your challenge is, you're very established. You're not a hot Silicon Valley startup or let's say Austin startup. And so it's hard to attract candidates. So, you have all of those social community outreach programs internally, and you want to get out there and try to find good candidates. What do you do to do that, right? So you set up a LinkedIn group, for instance. You set up a LinkedIn group where you publish information about jobs, online presentations, you can schedule some chats, etc. But obviously, if you want to actually share data, they have to be public. I mean, how can you share stuff securely on the LinkedIn group? You really can't. So that has to be public. But if it's public, how do you track if the members of the group actually click on the links and are, who gets really interested in those job postings? You really cannot do that. If you want to have, let's say, a writing contest, you want to find, the best candidates who can write stuff, because, you're trying to recruit the marketing manager, let's say. How can you do that? It's not easy. easy. You have to climb other platforms, so you have to move all the users around. And the chances you're going to lose, every single time you move people around, you're going to lose them. They're not going to go. They're not going to make the effort to sign up once again and once another platform. So you can share documents. You can really track how interested your candidates are. And obviously, you don't have chats in LinkedIn either. So to really engage the users in a live way, it's not possible. So obviously, you're here and I'm here, that's because there's a solution to all those issues, right? And the solution is Business. And with Business, what we do is instead of bringing social networks inside the enterprise, which is the goal of most of the enterprise social network platforms, what we do is we bring collaboration to social networks, public social networks, really. And you might be wondering, what do I really get with Business? So first of all, you can go beyond, unstructured messages, because when you are on public social networks, LinkedIn is really a glorified discussion forum. That's all it is, if you look at LinkedIn groups. If you look at Facebook, those are just, you post something on your feed, on your page, you get comments, it's all unstructured. So you can move from unstructured messages toward structured content thanks to SharePoint inside those social groups. You can leverage your business groups for seamless authentication and permission. So for instance, if you have a LinkedIn group or you have a Yammer external network, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can leverage what you build, the effort you put into building those networks or those groups. You can translate that straight ahead into a collaboration site where everyone in your group has access as, say, collaborator. Okay? And you can share content securely with your business contacts on social networks. So whenever you post something on your SharePoint site, you can post it back straight ahead into your social network, your social group. And that's the convenience you get with Business. So typical business flow would be you sign in with LinkedIn or Yammer, hopefully at some on Facebook, they open up their groups API to us. We'll see. They have their own strategies, so it might not work. But anyways, not our big target. For now, it's using LinkedIn and Yammer. You pick a social group. So let's say you belong to a LinkedIn group. You create a site for your LinkedIn group on Business, which is a SharePoint site, which is a responsive site. So here you see a mobile version of it, but you see some documents and picture libraries over here. And then you can upload content. So for instance, here you see that John from eBay uploaded his read driver brochure into his SharePoint site, and then you basically just share the document back with his Yammer network automatically from SharePoint back into Yammer. And everyone in the Yammer network, when they click on the link, they get access to the document automatically just by virtue of the fact that they're a member of that Yammer external network. Does that make sense? Because the issue with Yammer is that, yes, when you have your own network, it's tied to obviously specified tenant or to your SharePoint internal SharePoint site. But when you deal with external networks, then you can authenticate those users. I mean, you can only authenticate them within Yammer, but if you want to use SharePoint to select, then you can do that. So Business, fits fill that void, right? Now you may wonder, what about East California, right? What else has to do?
Go back to the previous thing.
Oh, sure.
But you're saying that the document gets uploaded into your SharePoint site, your external group, your Facebook group, or whatever, everyone in that group gets permissions to that document, even though they don't even have an account in SharePoint.
Yeah, that's true, because we use social authentication. So they authenticate with their, right, that's something I didn't mention, that when they go to the site, when they click on the link, they have to sign in with the authentication provider. Let's say you chose Yammer to create your business site, and they're going to have to sign in with Yammer, with their Yammer account, right? And then they get access to the document, not just because they're Yammer users, because the Yammer users part of your Yammer network. And
Right, but you're part of the social group you set up. So if I set up a social group with 6 people in it, and those 6 people do not have SharePoint accounts or anything like that, they still have access to that file from SharePoint.
True, yeah, I mean, yes, because you think SharePoint can only be used with Windows accounts, but that's not true. You can use it with whatever you want, as a matter of fact. That's how powerful and flexible SharePoint is. It's just that Microsoft doesn't really want you to know because it doesn't, goes against their own strategy. Because you can use it that way, yes. You can actually plug in any authentication provider that can issue SAML tokens, and that works. And so you can leverage OAuth, you can leverage OpenID with social authentication, and authenticate your users on SharePoint with social IDs. You can do that. And that's part of what we do with business. But we do more. We leverage group membership. So it's not just having people on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you can use it that way if you want. But what you can also do is you can leverage the fact that you belong to a specific social group that you set up, and that you use sort of as a security boundary. That make sense? Yep. But let's go back to Miss California. And what about her, right? So we booked our booth here back in September. We only really thought about brochures early January. And I got to give credit to my partner Robert here, because he's the one who really insisted that I made brochures. I wasn't really, I was like, hey, who reads brochure these days? Do you guys read brochure? I mean, personally, I don't. I mean, shame on me. But I get them, I put them in my bag, and I just never read them. So I was like, okay, why bother? But Robert says, no, you got to do them. That's important. You never know. And he was right. He was right. I mean, he got me stressed out a little bit. A month ago, I was like, oh man, I have to do brochures now. I have no design skills at all. Where am I going to find someone who can help me just have nice brochures? Because they got to be nice. And then I remember, across the hall from my office, there's this marketing firm, and friendly people, the owner is really nice, and they also have that beautiful girl in the office. I mean, not that I was really attracted to her. I'm married, married with 3 kids, so don't get me wrong. Anyways, I was pretty desperate, so I knocked on their doors, and I don't really know what to do. They do marketing. Actually, they do marketing mostly for music and golf. They do stuff with GoPro, for instance, because they're in the valley. So GoPro is in the Silicon Valley as well. So they do stuff for them, mostly for young crowd. But they were really kind, like, hey, they listen to me, and like, hey, we're gonna help you out with your brochures. And they assigned me that beautiful girl to work with her on those brochures. Turns out, she wasn't really beautiful. She was also very talented, and she designed those 2 brochures, one for Extreme, and the other one you probably have just in front of you here, business. And you might notice that what you see on that front page here is really similar to what you saw in the first slide. And really, that's what got her attention. I sent her, kind of a draft version of my slide deck here, and she took a look at it and also spent half an hour with them explaining what business was. But the very first draft of that page here didn't really click with me. It seemed to me that she hadn't really understood what business was for. So I was like, you know what? Let's just use business. I mean, actually working together. You're a sort of a contractor working with me. We're not in the same organization, and we have to work on brochures. There's lots of stuff that we need to share. I got to share logos and screenshots, and you want to share, different versions of the brochure. Let's use business for that. So what I did is, and I'm sorry I can't show it to you because I really don't have a good internet connection, but I set up a specific Yammer external network, and I invited her to that network. I created a business site, and then I started to push all the content that I needed. Even though she was close to me, sometimes she wasn't, but it was very convenient. Instead of using emails, because if you use email, then you send all those files at once, and then you get lost, you get distracted, right? You have all those files, and oh yeah, no, that's not this email, that's the other email, and that's another version. Even for that very small project, that was useful. And now, I have to say I lied a little bit, because she's not really Miss California, but she was Miss California pageant, one of many Miss California pageants in Miss California 2013. So I'm sorry I lied to you, but I think she deserved being Miss California 2013, but it's a huge contest, we got beautiful girls in California. So anyway, that's the deal about Miss California. And so we got that done. And I don't know if I'm late or not, but thank you very much for your time here. And if you got any questions, that's your time. We still have 5 minutes. I'm happy that I'm not behind my schedule here. Anyone have any question about the presentation? I mean, I could go on with 2 other things, like what we actually do with BizLinks. So first of all is, obviously we leverage social authentication. So right now you can sign in your LinkedIn, Facebook, Yammer. So the truth is when you set up a site on BizLinks, and that's, we have a cloud version, we have an on-prem version. So the on-prem version, you can do whatever you want with it. But with the cloud version, the on-prem version, the cloud version, you have to use a social group. So you have to first create a site for either a Yammer network or LinkedIn group. Once you do that, you can add additional social authentication providers to your site to allow other users from other networks to sign in. And the way it works, so first of all, we have something we call social group site provisioning. So whenever you sign in on the main bizlinks.net, not bizlinks.com, but bizlinks.net site, you get to that page here where you can create a site and select one of the groups. Here, maybe, that's a group maybe on LinkedIn. You select a site URL, you put your email address, you click on the button, and then you get a fully responsive site using the responsive framework that Eric overbuilt over Pixelmail. I don't know if you attended this presentation, but they're doing amazing work on Postlinks, and we're using their stuff here to power BizLinks with a responsive UI so that you can access it and your users can access it from wherever they are. We don't yet have a native mobile app, but we have at least a responsive UI here. Now, we also have integrated chat. Obviously, that's not really helpful with Yammer, but with LinkedIn, that's helpful if you want to really nurture your social group on LinkedIn. You have that available in SharePoint as well. Now, the gist of BizLinks really is that thing, group membership, membership roles. So the idea is that whenever you provision a site, you get those rules automatically created for you. And you see here, for instance, the rule at the bottom here says if you're connecting with LinkedIn, and part of that it's a VBAC retailers group, then you get assigned to that SharePoint secure site manager group with contribution permissions. Does that answer your question? So that's how you get the magic of how do we connect you with your site. That's how we do it, with that permission rules engine. Okay, and whenever you kick out someone from your group, you can also kick him out from the site as well. That's the first rule that says pretty much the opposite. You didn't sign your LinkedIn and or the group does not contain feedback retailer, then you actually get removed from the site.
You have to write both rules. You have to write both sides of the coin. You have to write positive and negative in this case.
Exactly. The first one is the negative. Yeah, that's if you're a mathematician, A and B is like not A or non-B.
Yeah,
that's what you do. All right. And now obviously you can add additional networks. So if you want, you can say, hey, I'm on LinkedIn, but I also, let's say I have a Yammer network and also a LinkedIn group, and they have pretty much the same purpose. It's just that some people want to be on LinkedIn, some others want to be on Yammer. You can actually group those two groups together. You can even group two different Yammer networks, two different LinkedIn groups as well. And you can also, so you have user auditing, which is something you don't really have on Office 365. So here you have the ability to first in user permissioning track. Oops. There we go. So you can track where users signed in from. And then second, you also know when they actually connect and if they were assigned or removed from groups. If that happens, right? Now, the thing is, if you have users who try to sign in and not members of your social group, not members of your Yammer network or your LinkedIn group, then they go through a workflow approval process. So you get an entry in a specific SharePoint list. The site administrator gets an email that says, hey, Larry Smith tried to connect with his Facebook account. So why don't you go and review the information and approve him and maybe grant him some specific permission. So you get here and then you click on to approve user at the top, and you get this nice little page here with an email template, and then you get to assign the user to whichever group you want to assign him to. And there you go. You just click on approve users. He gets an email. He gets into that group. Next time he signs in with his Facebook account, he gets access with the permissions you wanted to grant him.
So that use case piece then to say, if a group member invites somebody else to the group, this authentication would occur first before you allow them access to SharePoint.
Right. Yeah, that's how we do, because really, if you if you use claims authentication when you type the people picture, it's everything resolved. So it's not really user friendly. So that's kind of the choice we made. All right. And now the best thing is once you post content on these links, you can promote the content back into your social network right away from SharePoint. You don't have to right-click, copy the link, go back into LinkedIn or Yammer. So we have another action called promote here. Or you also can push any content, an event, a contact, whatever. We have another action here in the ribbon. When you click on it, you're going to get this screen here, and you have the ability to customize the actual post on your social network. So in this case here, this is mostly for LinkedIn, and you have a description title, description summary, you have a link title, you have a logo, and you also have the link URL. Link URL you cannot change because we want to make sure that the link you post is actually the link to the document, right? So you don't have to care about that. And what you get, for instance, on LinkedIn, you're going to get that. You're going to get a new discussion with the link to the brochure. People can click on it, they get straight to the document, they sign in with their LinkedIn account, and boom, they have access to the document. That's how easy that is. And if you're on, let's say if you're on Yammer, you would get something that looks that would be still on LinkedIn, and that's what you would get on Yammer, pretty much the same. All right.
And so
no demo.
So if I have multiple groups, like one from Yammer and one from LinkedIn, and then through your system, will I post to both at the same time, or do I have to do it twice?
So and that's a good question. Ideally, we would like to be able to do that.
Yeah.
The problem is that we use your auth token to post back. So if you sign in with LinkedIn, you can only post back to LinkedIn. If you sign in with Yammer, you can only post back to Yammer. And the only way we could actually do that is if we actually store your auth tokens and reuse them and sort of manage to link your LinkedIn and Yammer profile together. That's something that we have in mind. It's only going to be based on customer demand. But yeah, that's something that I would dream to be able to do. It's like you push back into all the networks at once.
Yeah.
But at this point, no, you can't really do that yet.
Okay.
But good question. Thank you. Thanks a lot. All right. Thanks a lot for your time. And you have the brochure. If you need anything, you have a contact information on the brochure, or you can come and talk to me. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.